Nowadays, so the biggest shock that I think people get is, oh, what does your son do? So the son, let's say he's 23 years old, yeah? What does your son do? Oh, he does Uber. He does Uber? Big-headed, full of themselves. The ego goes through the roof.
Let's compare, come on, let's compare.
Yeah, too dark, yeah.
Your parents and the people around be like, they expect you to get the highest grade possible. Or it's like, how is my sister going to see it? How my brothers, the family around you?
I'm not happy with this. I think it can be done better. But the moment you say that, who are you to speak? That's disrespectful. Hello, and welcome to the Lads Talk podcast. This is definitely not the 12th time I've started this intro. But here we are.
Not.
Definitely not. But you know what? Regardless of whether it is or it isn't, I'm going to stay humble because that's what this episode is all about. You know, some people, like, look at us. Look at us, bro. Just look. Look at us then. You're looking at me. Look at us. Yeah. No, but you're looking at them, bro. That's the wrong place to look. Some people, do you know what it is, yeah? They get 805 subscribers. Yeah. Or maybe they're on 900 now. Who knows? I don't know. And you know what? They let it get to their heads and they just get too overzealous, you know?
They get too big-headed, isn't it?
Big-headed, full of themselves. Their ego goes through the roof. And next thing you see, they start releasing their own merch and, you know, stuff like that. I hope, honestly, I hope, like, we never become like that.
Who's even going to buy their merch?
Honestly, like, no one will literally buy their merch, you know? But, link in the description. No, so today's episode is about ego and pride. As Asians, or for me, as a Muslim who went through, like, Islamic schooling and things like that, the topic of arrogance and pride and ego, it comes up a lot, and it's really, really, like, prominent in Asian communities, especially. Honor is another thing, and it's something that I feel like not many people talk about. We kind of silently accept that it exists, and, you know, we have to follow it to some extent.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. It, like, ego and pride in the Asian community, it affects everyone a lot, and also can affect people a lot mentally, and it can mess up with them, because the way the people around them, family, your circle, the way it's pressured onto them, and we can get into explaining the differences. Because
like pressure. You mentioned pressure, like education, ego and pride, marriage. There's a lot of not ego, but there's a lot of pride, honor.
The list goes on, like, you know, like, I don't want to get too deep into, like, going off topic, but it's like comparing and be like, you know, and it's like, family's name is going to damage it. They're going to look at us in this certain way, but instead we want to look like this, even though we're not like that. We want to look rich, we're not like that, and the list goes on. But you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you sound heated, like it must have affected you a lot. And obviously we're saying Asians, but that's because we're Asian. But, you know, I'm pretty sure this affects people of African culture as well.
But like everything we see online, and obviously we talk to our circle, it happens a lot in the Asian community.
Yeah. And we're more let's just say understanding or used to the Asian way of it. Like, I'm pretty sure even in white communities as well it happens. So we're not just like generalizing that, oh yeah, only Asians go through this. But, you know, I think one of the biggest things is people don't get it nowadays, like ego and pride. They don't separate, and they don't know how to separate the two.
That's me. I don't know the difference.
Yeah, because each of them, what it is, they all come with their own, like, branches afterwards that they go down, like a whole tree. So ego, for example, in my layman simple terms, is like the internal way that you look at yourself, value yourself, what you desire, what you want. That's your ego, innit? So it's an internal thing. And that would be stuff like you've got I don't know, let's say I have to say sorry to someone. Let's say I have to apologize to someone, yeah? So when I'm apologizing to someone, I have to lower myself. But what if I'm right about that one thing and this portion and that portion, and you have to lower yourself, you have to bring yourself down to that level, and it's difficult.
So that hurts. That basically hurts your ego.
Your ego. You see that thing, that it hurts my ego, because no, that's not what
it's to do with internal value, like how you value yourself and how it affects you.
Yeah,
the way you
desire,
are.
Your desire. So, like, in Muslim terms or Arabic terms, we also, it's not exact, but we call it nafs. Yeah, nafs means what I desire, my desires, yeah? And nafs is also a kind of dodgy word that we can't really define fully, but that's one way of expressing it or defining it. So nafs, so that's ego. And then there's pride. Pride, I would define it, again, don't quote me, you know, the definition might differ online or whatever, but pride is how I am seen by other people. You said something like, we were discussing, and you said something about shell.
Oh yeah. So I was saying it's So you know that outside people, how they see it, it's the outside shell that they see you, how they see you.
Yep.
So you know how we said pride is external. So
Yeah.
that's why I mentioned shell.
Yeah.
Because you don't see the inside, you see the actual shell.
Yeah.
It's what you show other people,
Yeah.
isn't it? So ego is what I show to myself. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what I want.
Yeah,
And
that's what you see inside an egg. So that's
Yeah.
the yolk, and then the shell is what people see on the outside.
you're hungry. We understand. Yeah, talk about yolk now. So what's it called? But you're right. That literally is, in the most simplest terms, that's the difference between ego and pride. And the reason why we're defining is because it's important when we talk about it, not to confuse the two. You know, and then like obviously, segueing on from there, there's quite obviously reasons for why they're so prominent, they're so like apparent in these communities. And the main reason actually is like you have class, and oh, this is high class and this is a low class thing, and this shows that I'm rich and this shows that I'm poor, and yada 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 yada. And in Asian, from the Asian background, I think, did we mention that? So I think we mentioned about, from your education to your marriage to everything, there's all this stuff is included. And I would use university as an example for example, pride. Yeah. University, first of all, you're doing a whole degree. And I have a teacher, Dr. Rico Albero, his name is. Yeah. I hope he appreciates the shout out. Yeah. And he was my Spanish lecturer. And you know what? He gave me one of the most simple pieces of advice, and it didn't make sense in that moment, and it didn't impact me in that moment. It impacted me after I was done with uni.
So what did he say?
So we had mentors, or he was my mentor as well, and he's also my lecturer. And he said to me, I was complaining to him basically. I said, I'm a bit worried that my grades, I'm not hitting first. I'm not hitting first, 2 1s and first, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong and things like that. And he said, are you okay? He goes, what's wrong with you? He goes, what are you getting? I said, at the moment, I'm getting consistent 2 1s. He goes, you're not failing anything, right? I said, no. He goes, you're going to get your degree at the end, aren't you? I said, yes. He says, so what are you worrying about first? What difference does it make to your life? What difference will it make in your job? It won't make any difference. You've got that degree. Plus, you're getting 2 1, which is a good grade. Why are you so stressed about
that's
that?
upper class. Second upper class. What's it called?
Upper second class.
Yeah.
And so he gave me that advice, and he said that why are you stressing about it? Why are you worried about it? And oh my god, I carried that piece of advice from obviously for myself, but everywhere I went afterwards when I taught. Like, I wasn't telling children, guys, just fail, it don't matter. I was saying, sorry, I forgot to mention, he broke it down for me. He said, are you trying your best? I said yes. Are you studying the most? I said yes. Are your grades consistent? Yes. And then he gave me advice. He goes, I'm your teacher in Spanish. I'm your lecturer in Spanish. I'm telling you, your grades are good. The way you're studying is perfect. That is the best that you can do. Do not go above and beyond. Why are you doing it for? And I was questioning, why am I so stressed about first and stuff? And it was because, around you, people, especially when you're young, people are like, oh, you got 2 1. Oh, I got first. So automatically it's like, first means good. Anything below first, you suck, basically.
It's not that. It's for us in the Asian community, it's like you have to always. I'm grateful that my parents wasn't like that. That I didn't get pressure like that. But it's like your parents and the people around be like, they expect you to get the highest grade possible.
Yeah.
Or it's like, how is my sister going to see how my brothers, the family around you? So that's pride, isn't it? That's pride. Yeah, for them that's pride. So that's probably the main pressure for you mentally without you knowing.
Yeah. I mean, the same is going right now. When we're recording this, there's GCSEs getting done, college A levels getting done, uni probably assignments or exams, and people are stressing because they're stressing that if they don't get the grade that they want, like the A or the 9 or whatever it's called now, then they will get told off, or the parents won't be proud of them. Do you see pride? So that's where it comes from, and that's just like as in one good example that you stress so much about how you look. That I was mentioning the reason why people care about first is because everyone makes it seem like anything below that is rubbish, which isn't the case. You got a degree, that's like
you worked hard for it and you did the best you can. And if that's the best you can do, there's nothing you can do. And for yourself, if you leave your parents out of it, if you're happy with a 2 1, 2 2, or even a 3, then you're happy with it and there's nothing wrong with it. You shouldn't feel hurt in your pride. That's it.
As in, like, even like you said, you can be happy with a 3 or a 2 2 and stuff, but again, like, that also depends on your mentality. Like, for example, if you're doing something crazy, like some rocket science or something, first of all, you're doing something crazy and that's difficult. Not everyone can do that kind of degree. Not everyone can do that kind of studies and the hard work. And if you're doing like doctor type stuff or really difficult science, biomedical science or something, you're doing such a difficult degree as it is. So if you're literally trying your hardest and you've done everything you can and you're still not getting the grades that you want, it doesn't matter. You literally, at least you probably will know that, I'm not good at exams, I'm not good at assignments, but I have the knowledge and I got what I came here to get, but we often don't see that. We focus on the external, the shell that you said, we're not focused on how it benefited me. We're focused on, but how does it look to other people, and that's a big problem in the Asian community. And they have this like obsession with like Asian community has this obsession with honor and what's the other word?
What do you mean by honor? Explain just briefly, quickly.
Like honor again, it's like same thing to do with pride.
Yeah.
So they have this thing with honor, like honor. I feel like honor goes beyond pride. So pride, remember you said it's like the shell, yeah. Honor is like the shield of the shell. If I were to compare, like for example, you look at murders and stuff, yeah, in the Asian community.
So honor is in front of pride, basically.
That's how I would see it. Like that's an additional layer of protection. They got a firewall on top of the firewall, So it's like honor is so my pride is here, but my honor is in front of the pride. Like it's an extra face. Like, you just look at it like that. For example, you look at like marriage, in the Asian community, in specific Asian communities, if you marry in a disrespectful way or
outside your culture,
that's a good one actually. Sorry, outside your culture, inter-race marriage, not interfaith, inter-race marriages, like a Bengali person marrying a black person or something like that.
That's basically out of the ordinary for the parents.
For the parents,
and the people outside. Yeah.
So, first and foremost, we're Muslim. I mean, you're not Muslim. From my background, we're Muslim. So, the teaching is there's no black person who's better than a white person. There's no white person better than a black person. This is a hadith. Or there's no Arab better than them either. They're only good in their good deeds, But the Asian community, or specifically from my background, what I've seen, they don't like that. Because why? It's not about they're better or they're worse. It's about they're not the same as us. And because they're not the same as us and they not fall in that standard, like you must fit this color palette that I have here and this color palette.
Let's compare. Come on, let's compare.
Too dark. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? If you're not part of that color palette, you're not part of that frame. That
that range. It's the range.
That range. Do you get it? Like I'm saying color palette, but obviously we mean ethnicity. Like you're not Indian or whatever the culture is, that, and you're not matching. It's like Snap, a game of Snap. Snap. No, if you don't match that, you've caused dishonor to the family. Because why? You've gone outside the norm. You're outside the standard of what everyone expects, and then what the honor part comes is, what will people say? What will they say about me? What will they say about us? You've ruined my name.
Again, the family names come into this.
You've ruined my name. You've ruined this. You've ruined that. And you know what? It's so scary. Like that kind of reaction is so terrifying and it's so scary, because it's like, I thought Islamically, I'm doing something okay. I'm doing something right. But Asianly, I'm not doing the right thing. I'm not, you know what I mean? And then after, you got the shouting matches and you got the fighting and you got, long story short, there's this kind of culture that's just not left us, that you can't marry outside your thing, otherwise it causes dishonor. Like obviously we're focusing on marriage, but it goes beyond that. You made a mistake, so let's say there's a child and the child made a mistake with finances and he became broke, So then afterwards, what do they say? Oh, he's what's it called? What did he do with his money? What are people going to say? They're going to think you gambled. They're going to think you done this. Why? Relax. Why are you worrying about that so much? What people say, people will say. There's been instances personally, people have said stuff without anything. There's no evidence. There's nothing to say, and they still speak. So it's like, what is the big deal? Do you know what I mean? But that is, I think I can explain why that happens, and it's because Asians, like, you know, who came to this country, and remember they were in their villages, right,
Yeah,
before.
but back at home.
And remember the way that you look. This is actually the reason. From my experience with people, please like correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're in your villages, and let's say you want your child to get married to someone from a nice family, everyone's gonna know that, hey, well, that guy might have had a gambling addiction or something.
No, it's not that. I would say that is a factor to it, but I would say the main thing is the status of your family. High caste, like back then, that's how they looked at caste. High caste, middle. I don't know where's a low caste in it. There's a difference. They're like high caste is not compatible. That's it with low caste.
Yeah.
And the things they do in the background, in it, every religion's different, but I don't really believe in caste and stuff. But they mainly look at the caste. They're like high caste. I don't know. I don't fully understand caste, but it's like high caste can do this, and they can't go down and do what the low caste do, and it's seen as ashamed, embarrassed. Yeah,
Like jobs, even. Yeah. Like, you know, nowadays, the biggest shock that I think people get is, oh, what does your son do? So the son, let's say he's 23 years old. Yeah. What does your son do? Oh, he does Uber. He does Uber? He's a taxi driver?
It's because they're like, oh, he went to uni, and let's say they did some sort of like some doctor, I don't know, or engineering course, and then they're like, oh, he's on Uber. It's like just because he done that in uni, which is a high profile, they still expect. Do you get it? To carry on afterwards.
That he done it
like straight away, but they don't consider it's gonna take time. You need experience, and you need to build yourself up. What's it called? I know we're going off topic, but what's it called? Oh, they did it in marketing, man. What's it called? Not personal profile. Is it personal profile? Where you build yourself up in it?
Yeah, I guess personal profile or like portfolio.
That's it, portfolio. Yeah. You're not gonna straight away get the job that you want, you know.
And it's like what you said. So, for example, if someone did an engineering degree, he studied engineering degree, he should be making the cars. Why is he driving one? You know, and then they treat Uber like, oh, this guy's a rickshaw driver. You know what I mean? So it's like but I can admit nowadays, from what I've experienced, I think people are moving away slowly from that here. But when they hear it back home that he's a taxi driver, what's going on there? But they don't understand, in this climate you have to fight with people, compete with people to get a job. So it's really difficult, you know. You have to start low, and then you build yourself, and you go higher and higher. But that's something they're obsessed with. So obviously we mentioned marriage, we're mentioning jobs, mentioning finance. There was another one that was in my head, but I just can't remember it right now. But if I remember it, I'll say it, yeah. But there's other like examples where honor is like such a massive thing. And we were talking about the villages, right? Like that kid, don't get him married to that guy because I think he had a gambling addiction. He suddenly had no finances, or he used to do this, or she used to do that. Those words used to spread around those villages, and then that's when they used to be worried that, oh, we can't, our wealth will never go up. People won't give us opportunities for marriage and for this and that and mix with us. So I think that's where it stemmed from, and it's just continued, even though it doesn't really need to, and then there's like how people mix it with religion, which is from my side. I'm not sure about your side, but from my side, it's really I personally don't like it. For example,
hello ghost. Do you want to join the podcast?
We got a ghost joining our podcast.
Oh yeah, by the way, for the viewers that well, you can't see, the door just randomly opened.
The door just opened. I mentioned, what did I just mention? Okay, guys, I think you've noticed by now that we've got something very new today.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got a Lads Talk t-shirt. We've got a Lads Talk hoodie. More merchandise coming soon. However, we want to hit 1,000 subscribers, or maybe we have already. But as a thank you to everyone,
our appreciation to our 805 subscribers as of now,
or more. Yeah. We want to give some appreciation back. So if you want a chance to get one of these for free, all you have to do is follow the Google form that's below in today's description. Go along with all the instructions on there, and you'll have a chance of winning a free t-shirt or a free hoodie. Back to the podcast. When mixing it with religion, for example, people with Islam, they mix it, and I'll tell you how. So let's say there's a masjid community, right? And the masjid community, so I'm going personal now, let's say I left a position of teaching in a masjid, yeah, and I left. Why? Because I was unhappy with. Maybe I was unhappy with the management, or maybe I was
Well, this is within the mosque you're talking about,
the mosque
or community. What are you talking about?
mosque community. Yeah?
Mosque community. Okay.
And let's say I left this employment because I was unhappy with the structure.
Wait, employment. I'm getting confused. Are you talking about?
I used to work for a Islamic school, which is connected to
Oh,
a mosque.
all right,
Okay?
now I understand. I thought you meant the actual like mosque community, like like what we went yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you were about them, and I was
No,
like,
but those communities are linked to the schools in some way or another.
no, but I thought you were specifically working.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
talking about working in the mosque.
Yeah, so
No, okay, now go. All right. Carry on.
but so you have this thing where it's like I'll give you another example after, but this is a good example. So let's say I work in Islamic school, everything's running fine. I'm just a teacher, right? But let's pretend I'm unhappy with the structure of the school, or I'm unhappy with how it's being run, and it could improve. Yeah. So now here's the kind of pride part. Yeah, because they have this thing about respect. Yeah, like I'm a young guy, yes, and I have my own self-respect. I have my own self-worth, how I want to be looked at and stuff. And let's say I'm not getting that in the school. Let's say I'm not getting the recognition that I want to get. Personally, I want to leave. I want to go. I want to get a different job, whatever the case might be. Yeah? It's not that deep, really. Yeah. To these certain communities, it's a massive thing. It's such a big thing. What? And also in meetings you can't talk. In meetings you can't raise your voice. If you do,
It's because of the position, the hierarchy of your position.
Hierarchy,
Is a title.
Yeah, the title, the hierarchy of the thing as well, like the management, the law, that's fine. But everywhere, like let's say something you feel unhappy with something, there should be a culture everywhere where you can voice it, isn't it? And you can say that, I'm not happy with this. I think it can be done better. But the moment you say that, who are you to speak? That's disrespectful. You're younger. You're this. You're that. This is like so caveman style. Do you know what I mean? And this is so backwards. There needs to be, if you want to improve, if you want to go and make sure that you're improving, you're always building, that first of all, you go to the elders, because the elders, they've got experience. They know what they're doing. But when the elders are doing the same thing over and over again and it's not working, then what do you go to? The fresh faces, the youngers. You take advice from them. You just think, hey, okay, you've seen how the world is changing now.
Not even younger people, just any like other people that think differently to you.
Fresh
or plan.
faces, yeah, that's what I mean. Innit? Like when I say young or I say fresh face, I mean just like try something new, try something different, but they won't, because they're like fixated that this is how we've always done it. This is how it always must be done. But it doesn't make sense.
I would say it's both the ego and pride. So ego because it's like they value themselves because it's like, I planned this, I brought this up, I think it's working. And then the pride is like how other people, so in your case, how other people outside, whether students or other teachers, see that you're taking charge or your plan is now implemented and is working.
Yeah, that's it. But like the place where I worked specifically, like there was a lot of things that of course they needed to improve, and there was also a lot of things that they were already doing really well in. Yeah, so the part that you needed to improve in, I gave those ideas, they took it on board, it was working fine, it was perfect. But where it started to go wrong is when, like it was improving so much, but then there were certain parts where it's like, no, we need to keep that the same. We need to keep this the same. We need to keep that the same. And all of it, if you look deeply into it, every single one of those things that they needed to keep the same was to do with, this is how we always done it. And also you're too young, you don't understand, and also, keep quiet because you're too young, don't yeah, it's all good, don't this is disrespectful, don't speak like that, don't voice this, if you're unhappy don't say it like this, and this is like too backwards, and this is something they need to let go. And that's why I don't like it mixing with like religious institutions or religious places, because then you halt progress and you stop things from moving forward and moving up. Listen, we all know humility is something that everyone should have, right?
100%.
But a branch of humility, of course, comes with modesty, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you have to be a modest person in order to truly be humble. Now, how can you be a modest person truly if you're not wearing modest clothing? You don't know? Well, look, let me help you with that. If you want modest clothing, then our sponsor for today, Hiraa, who is based in Luton, is just the shop that you need. They do Islamic clothing, they do Islamic books, perfumes, and so much more. If you want to check them out, all the details are in the description of today's video. But anyway, we're going to go back to the podcast. So anyway, I mentioned that there's a story that I wanted to say. Yeah. So there was this one. So in Ramadan, I usually lead. I lead prayer in the masjid.
Yeah, it's beautiful voice, man. You got a beautiful voice. I remember. Was it last year?
Last year I led. Yeah, I didn't lead this year. So so I lead usually yearly in community center. It was in a mosque, and they needed someone to come lead in it because it was like in the middle of nowhere, right in the countryside place. So I went there. Do you know the first thing that the guy who recruited me to go lead? Do you know the first thing he said to me was, "Please, are you sure you're gonna come every night?" I was like, "When we lead prayers, we don't miss any night. If you're ill and you're unwell, that's a different story. But you don't usually miss. Why would you ask me like that's so weird, yeah?" And he was like, "Last year we had 2 imams who came and they missed so many days and they did this and they did that. Please, I beg you, don't miss a night because these lot, they will chuck the shoe on my head." And I was like, I just looked at, I was like, what? What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Like, he goes, in Bengali, they say like, to translate it, it's like they'll get the shoe and they like hit me on the head with it.
It's like a slap across the face.
Slap across the face. You get it? So
of embarrassment.
Yeah. They will embarrass me. So the first thing, you're recruiting someone to do a religious task. Yeah, lead the prayer in a religious and holy month, Ramadan. And the first thing you're thinking is not, we want to do it slowly. We want to make sure it's nice and the first thing you think about, please make sure you come every day because otherwise people are going to think I'm poo-poo head. Like, what is that? Do you know what I mean? That's not what you think about. The first things that you think about, the foundation is not even there, and you're already jumping to what will people say if you do it wrong.
And you're going to be nervous and you're not going to perform.
Do you know why I was going to be nervous afterwards? Because you said the last year's imams weren't good and all that stuff. So that means, like, let's pretend in prayer I make a mistake or I get nervous and I forget my, I forget the verse I'm reading or something. Yeah, then that will play in the back of my head that people are going to hit me on there because you're not a good imam or whatever. That extra additional imposter syndrome that I didn't need. Yeah. He's now added it, and this I'll just realize that what. People, and this is why when people, like Iran, what do you see? They kill women, for example, when they take their headscarf off. That is not a Muslim tradition. You don't hit people and you don't hurt people because they're not following certain religious things like that. And if you look at our comments on TikTok and YouTube, Islam, you guys are barbaric, you do this and you disrespect women. No, we don't. And then I say, give me an example. And every time they say Iran, look how they kill women, look how they do this to women and torture them and throw them in prison. I said, that's Iran. First of all, they're not even Sunni Muslim, they're Shia, which some Sunni Muslims don't class Shia Muslims as Muslims. I'm not saying it, all right, but I'm just saying that some people don't even classify them because where they get their teaching and stuff is different, right? If you look at the Quran, if you look at like the hadith that we follow, it doesn't say stuff like that. So people have mixed culture, honor, and this stuff with religion, and that's what's giving the bad look. And I've had plenty of people ask me about Islam and say, but why do you guys do this? Why do you guys make a big deal of this? And why do you do that? And why are you so violent about this and that? We're not. It's culture. You're mixing culture and religion together, and that's what the biryani that comes out of that is what you're feeding it from, and that's not how it is. But then look, that's like all well and good, the culture, the religion, and we understand where the pride side is and the honor and all those things are. Yeah. Listen, one place you should never worry about showing off, is definitely your own website. Never feel afraid to show off your own business, your own company, your own projects, and especially not your own website. You need to show off, and that's done by having a good search engine optimization. Yeah, exactly. SEO. And our sponsor for today, WebDevLab, they help you with just that. So if you want to work with WebDevLab in order to boost your website performance, your marketing strategies and more, thank you Garis, then the links are in the description today. Just check the description for our sponsor WebDevLab. Thank you again for sponsoring us, and back to the podcast. So we were talking we've talked about Asians and we talk about the culture and the religious side and all that side, but now look, let's pretend someone's watching and they're not thinking about Asian culture, they're not thinking about religion, they're just thinking about myself. That but why should I look bad? And some of these points, it makes sense, I should look at myself. Fine. So now we've come to the point about ego. Yeah, we've dealt with pride, we dealt with honor. Now we come to the point of ego. And ego, the biggest place in my opinion where ego shows itself is in arguments. Yeah, when people argue with one another, that's when their ego comes out. Yeah. So, for example, when people argue, the first thing, what does everyone think about when they argue with someone? Do you know?
No.
I am right. You know, that I am right and you are wrong. That is the first agreed upon position. I think I'm right and you are wrong, and you think you're right and I'm wrong, isn't it? When you're arguing, that's the whole point, you're arguing. Otherwise, you wouldn't argue your point. You look at I invite everyone, if you got TikTok, go to the Lads Talk TikTok and just watch all the comment section. Yeah.
Even YouTube Shorts.
YouTube Shorts as well, but TikTok currently has been blowing up, right? So the comment section, all it is, oh, you're dumb, you're this. So I say to them, I'm dumb and this and that. That's fine. Can you give me evidence, please? Yeah. They don't give evidence. It's all about you're wrong, so I'm just gonna tell you you're wrong. I'm just gonna leave it there. But you know, you ask for evidence, they don't give evidence. So because I'm willing to, if I'm wrong about something, I'm willing to learn from it. But they don't. It's not about learning for them. It's about I need to be right. And this Muslim guy, I need to make the Muslim guy wrong. So in arguments, one person wants to be right and they want to make the other person wrong, okay? And then we always have that favorite quote of ours, yeah? Don't argue with stupid people because they'll bring you down to their level and then beat you with experience, yeah? That's the best quote. I love that quote so much. But, one thing in arguments, yeah, that sticks out to me is, humble people. Like, humble people means the people who usually are like, they're quiet and they're calm and they're chill and stuff like that. They never, in my opinion, I don't see them wanting to win an argument. Yeah, but what I see is they stay quiet and they stay thingy. And I always watch them like, why are you not, especially like when they're not wrong, why are you not sticking up for yourself? Yeah. And this is the part that gets to me, like, why are you not sticking up for yourself? They're obviously in the wrong and they're doing bad and you should stop them because they're going to carry on doing it. And the answer I always get, yeah, one answer I agree with and the other one I don't agree with, yeah. The first answer is, this guy is yapping on and he's ignorant guy. He's an ignorant guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just yapping on and on for the sake of being right, or he wants to shout at me and that's it. I don't want to argue with the guy because he's wasting my time. I fully agree. 100% agree. Would you disagree with that?
No. I would fully agree with that. You don't want to waste your time, innit?
What do they say about dogs?
Yeah, if they so they say if the dog barks, you don't bark back. It's basically linking back to the quote. Yeah. Same thing.
It's the same thing. Someone's speaking nonsense, bark, you can't even understand them, or it has no meaning, basically, like barking, right?
It's like, because the dog's barking, it's like basically in our terms we're arguing. If you argue back, it's going to go nowhere. It's just going to carry on. We're not going to come to a middle agreement, or we're not going to understand each other's feeling. Yeah. So what do you do? Like what you said. Yeah. You just be quiet, be humble, be like, all right.
Why waste your energy?
And that being quiet and being humble, that finish as in like there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah. Then comes the point where I disagree. Yeah. When people say, you know what, they think they're right, and that's okay. You know what, I feel like, I have to just remain humble, and I just have to stay quiet and remain humble. You know what, it's okay that they're doing wrong. They will, get what they think, but I don't want to stoop to their level, and I don't want to become argumentative. Like, that's the part where I don't enjoy. I don't agree with, because there's one thing ignoring someone because they're ignorant, yeah? And there's another, you're ignoring them to remain humble. That's stupid, because it's not about being humble in that moment. It's about they're not making sense. They're causing you trouble. You need to stick up for yourself. You don't act humble. So let's say you're in a job and one of the people you're working with, they're higher above you. They're clamping down on you. They're bullying you, basically, pretty much, to put a long story short. And you're being humble because, everyone knows that manager, that boss is bad, so I'm going to stay quiet. It doesn't work like that. You have a problem. You have to stick up for yourself. Otherwise, what will happen? Now we come to the ego part that I think is okay. Self-respect. In Asian communities and in let's say, Muslim communities as well, self-respect, people don't understand it. People misconstrue it. And I did this until someone I know told me that you're doing it wrong. This is not good to be this humble. You have to know when to stick up for yourself. You have to know when to stand up and be like, excuse me, you are chatting nonsense and I'm going to tell you how it is. And in those moments, that's the most important part, innit? So for example, someone's bullying you. You should stand up and say, excuse me, what you said is incorrect. I'm not going to argue with you. There's no need to argue with you, but
It's not right what you said. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. There's been plenty of times in jobs and, even when getting bullied and things like that, you have to stand up for yourself. You can't be humble. You can't be quiet in those moments. You have to stick up for yourself. Why? Because yes, you don't want to have an ego. You don't want to become arrogant. You don't want to become big-headed and become...
That's not fair. It's not fair.
When it's not fair, you have to stick up for yourself. Otherwise, what? People push you around. People want you. People bully you.
You just get used, innit?
And you become a target for people. That's how it is. So whenever there's a strong difference between being humble, having humility, that I'm not better than someone. Yes, you're not better than someone, but I have the right to not be bothered by someone. That is the part that everyone, I feel like, should stick to some extent. And that's really important. But people nowadays act like pushovers. Like, even imagine you're on the street, by the way. This is something that, by the way, is so important. On the street, someone's trying to rob you. If they have a weapon on them, run. Yeah, because you're not going to get stabbed because you're Superman or you're going to shoot lasers.
Babies, like,
you know what I mean?
versus 10.
Yeah, and fights usually, yeah, like throw a punch, throw a punch quickly, yeah, this, fights don't go like that, unfortunately. Do you know what I mean? This choreographed fights that you see in action movies, that you're going to block like this and that. That doesn't exist. You see a weapon, you run. That's what you have to do. But if someone's coming to you for no reason, yeah, they're being, let's say, pretend someone's being racist to you, or someone's coming up to you and they're picking you for no reason, or thinking, you must defend yourself. If you're with your family, you have to defend yourself. What I'm saying is defend yourself. Yeah. You have to defend yourself. You have to stick up for yourself. There's a time to be humble. No one's better than anyone, unless you do, in the eyes of God, in the eyes of Allah, you might be better than someone in your good deeds, how much charity you've given or whatever, or how much secret good deeds that you do. But no one is better than someone else because, he's taller than me, or he's fatter than me, or he's skinnier than me. You're not better than anyone, but you have the right to be just as valuable as they are. You remember that internal value, the ego that we covered at the start? My ego is, I have a value. I have a certain amount that I am worth. That person, Garis, he also has a certain amount of worth. I'm not going to damage his worth. He also is not allowed to damage my worth. And that's how it has to be. That's the best way. I think self-respect and self-love, that goes a long way, and it's something we don't see enough of nowadays.
Like, it happens a lot at work. Let me start. It happens a lot at work where, like, with whatever role you do, whatever job you do, you're doing good, you're doing it up to the standard, and then they're either chatting behind you or saying it indirectly, or you find out through other people that you're not doing your job properly when you are, and you're hitting that standard. So that would hurt your ego, because they don't value you, but you're doing the right thing.
So
the ghost is gone finally.
Gone. I think we clarified for the ghost what we were talking about. So I want to kind of finish off on some simple notes, some simple points. Yeah, one of those simple points is apologizing. Yeah, I think apologies nowadays have lost all meaning. We don't apologize in the correct way. Okay, and humbling yourself, what it actually looks like. Humbling yourself doesn't mean you suddenly go so low where people can't see your face. No, that's not humbling. Humbling yourself is acknowledging where you are wrong, where you faulted yourself, where you went in the wrong direction. That's called humbling. Yeah, I'm being humble doesn't mean because I said sorry that means I'm humble. Humility comes from, you know what, I don't deserve to put myself on such a big pedestal, let me just acknowledge it. That's humbling yourself. And then the apology should come in the form of like regret. Do you get it? There's no regret nowadays, like, oh, sorry, by the way. All right. There's no difference between that sorry and what you did, and there's no bridge. You never bridged anything. There's nothing for me to now turn to you and be like, oh, you said sorry. Nice. Yeah, we can just go back to normal. When I apologize to people, I try to do this is, oh, by the way, look, I done this wrong. I shouldn't have done it like that. And in future, I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna change it. Yeah, because that definitely was a mistake. I'll change it. That's how an apology looks like. And then you can say sorry as a token, I guess. But that's not the word. Sorry isn't the actual apology. The apology is, what am I gonna do that this will never happen again? But people don't do that. So I just think that's one thing that's really important to to mention in all of this ego and pride business. I'm having a big head, having a small head, and all that stuff, you know. And of course, like with self-respect, if you want to build up in your self-respect, you also have to increase your self-worth. Like you can't just sit around and you can't just be the same old person and expect that you're gonna see yourself with a higher value. You don't just see yourself with a higher value because
if you don't see yourself with a higher value, and if you don't believe that in yourself, then how do you expect people from the outside to see that you are valued in that, well, in different scenarios or certain situations?
And that comes from things like looking after yourself. If you haven't even looked after yourself, if you haven't looked after the way that you are
mentally, physically, emotionally,
there's lots of people that they give that advice: clean your bedroom first, right? Clean your living room first. Because if you haven't even bothered to look after yourself, your own living room, your own bedroom, your own space, your own area isn't looked after, is not kept clean, it's not kept nice looking, you haven't even bothered to respect yourself enough to make sure your environment is good. Who is going to respect your environment? Who's going to respect your space? No one will. So that's the number one thing. That's the advice I would give, actually. Do you have any advice, extra one?
No, not really. We've basically indirectly given advice talking through this whole episode. Yeah.
But yeah, quote of this week most definitely is my favorite. I love saying this quote so much. But the quote of the week this week is definitely: don't argue with stupid people, because they'll bring you down to their level and then they'll beat you with experience. And speaking of, I think it's important that you come down to our level, because you guys need something. And what do you need? You guys need entertainment. Is that correct?
Yeah.
They need entertainment. They crave it. They desire it for their egos, to increase their value. All right? If you want to increase your value, you must listen to the Lads Talk podcast. And in order to listen to the Lads Talk podcast, look, you have to also give something back. Okay? Otherwise, you guys are just being too much.
You're using us.
You're using us. You guys need to subscribe right now. Just subscribe to the channel, and that's how you'll help us. Leave a comment below if you want to get your hands on some Lads Talk merch. But we hope you enjoyed. Thank you again to our sponsors, WebDevLab and Hiraa in Luton. All their details are also in the description today. But until next time, stay humble, stay true to yourself, have some self-respect, and respect us with that subscribe button. And until next time, goodbye.
Peace out. See you in the next episode.